Hello and welcome to the Crone Codes, a gathering place for women of all ages and all stages to remember your worth, your purpose, and your power. I'm your host, the creator and resident crone, Joan Advent. Welcome back to the Crone Codes. I am your host, the creator, and the resident crone, Joan Advent. And I am so delighted and honored to welcome my friend, my soul sister, mentor, Wendy Havlir, to join us today. Welcome, Wendy.
Thank you, Joan. I'm so overjoyed to be here.
I know, it's going to be so good. There is so much depth and richness that Wendy brings, and I'm just excited to share the wonder of Wendy with you. So let's just start with Wendy's bio, with the essence of who Wendy is that comes through that encapsulation of words we put together when we express to the world who we are and what we've done. So as we do on the Crone Codes, I want to invite you, our listener, to take a moment, close your eyes if you're able to just receive and let wash over you the essence of who Wendy is and all that she brings, the medicine she brings, the codes she brings, and all that she has accomplished in order to be here with us today with these codes. So, Wendy Havlir is a poet, shaman, and the founder of the School of Wild and Holy. It's a place where women are guided through sacred initiation, ancient wisdom, teachings, and practices, rewilding and remembrance, rooted in ancestral lineages of seers and mystic poets. Her work weaves shamanism, poetry, and lived experience to open thresholds into deep liberation, embodied spirituality, and profound partnership with love itself. She's the author of The Mistress of Longing, a very powerful book about the deep call of the divine feminine and the power of desire. She also has a book of poetry, The Reach is Holy, and is currently working on her next compilation. Welcome.
Thank you, Joan. I felt like I just had a ceremony having you read that. That was really beautiful.
Yeah, ceremony is also, I would say, just having worked with you in the past and what I know of you, like ceremony is a key aspect of your medicine as I've
Mm.
experienced it.
Mm. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So there are so many pieces of what I just shared that feel so important when we consider the Crone codes that we gather throughout the course of our life. And particularly as we sit here in 2026 with the collective landscape that we're all navigating and living but I really want to start with wild and holy, and this sense of like rewilding and remembrance, which I'm assuming that those all go together, that wild and holy, rewilding and remembrance.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Well, I love so so of course the words wild and holy are the name of my school, the School of Wild and Holy, which was actually given to me by my helping spirits. And as a shamanic practitioner and someone who, as one of the many facets of who I am, and someone who has cultivated really deep partnerships with my helping spirits, um, and being in that kind of holy communication with them daily and all day long, I'm so honored that they provided me with the sort of marching orders, if you will, the directive in 2020, in the early days of the pandemic, that it was time to open my school. And they gave me the name of the school. And I would say that it is very much about rewilding and the holiness of that, and the remembering of who we really are. And so, what I have found so much in my own life and in the work that I do, there's this powerful shedding and sort of stripping away of all of these layers that have grown over us through the years by simply being human,
Mhm.
and the sacred process of realizing that there are these like extra layers. And so this beautiful sort of falling away, so that we can remember who we really are. And I think to be human is to be both wild and holy already. I don't think that there's anything that we have to do or become to, that is our essence. We are wild because we are in this skin and we have blood and organs and feelings and flesh and, you know, all of these things,
And
that
desire.
and desire, all of these things that are deeply human, and grief and ways of being and moving that only humans can do.
Mm.
And what also is true in the cosmology that I walk with and in the teachings that I provide by way of the School of Wild and Holy is that we came holy,
Mm.
and our soul is untouchable.
Mm.
It is unmarked.
Yeah.
So, no matter what we're experiencing in this realm of activity, there is also a truth that stands by us for the duration of our time in this human body. And so, there's this way that remembering that we are both wild and holy at the same time is becoming more and more and more essential for us to
Mm.
be here in this life as we know it right now, not to escape it,
Yes.
but to be able to be better grounded and supported in that. Um,
Mm.
And on a personal note, I would just say that, my own personal life has been this remembrance of being untamed and rewilding
Mm.
myself.
Mhm.
Um,
Mm.
yeah,
And how long has that journey been happening consciously?
consciously. Yeah, because I was going to say from the moment I popped out of the womb, but hmm, I would say really since probably consciously around 2007, around 2008. And there have been many initiations since that time.
Yes, yes. And I know that you have studied with Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estés. And was that a seminal aspect of that journey starting, or?
Yeah, I mean, I would say really that, I would say it would be even before that. So
Mhm.
the date that I gave actually corresponds to my time at Naropa University, where I was studying contemplative psychotherapy. And there was a sort of magical way that things were, and really it goes even way beyond that, but we don't have that much time. So I'm going to start here, where I sort of was guided. Um, there was a way that it was really magical because all of a sudden I realized that I already had quite a lot of academic experience. And while I was at Naropa, I was realizing that I could begin to open myself up to bridging the worlds of spirituality with applied practicality.
Mm.
And there was so much, deep contemplative practice with a mindful awareness practice while also learning how to be a psychotherapist. And so, really learning so much about like the mind
Mm.
and how powerful the mind is.
Mm.
Um, Not necessarily always in a good way. And often, all of the ways we get hooked into really believing something by way of our mind, I would say that that was kind of an opening to realizing that there was something more that I was beginning to actually experience in my body and with others and helping people in that way. And then it was with Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And I mean, I think that I studied with her for 8, 9, maybe 10 years. And that really blew the doors open. Yeah. Yeah. Into realizing this instinctual nature, everything really became more embodied, more about being more wolf like and understanding what that meant and moving into storytelling. And
Mm.
yeah.
Yes, so if anyone does not know who Dr. Pinkola Estes is, she is the author of Women Who Run with Wolves, and a powerful voice, not only for cronehood, but for that instinctual nature within all of us as women. And she really goes in through story. And you can correct me if I'm wrong or flesh out more. Um, she goes in through story to those common universal aspects of our journey as women, and the rewilding and the what are the layers that we're meant to shed.
Hmm. Yeah, and one of the things that I think is so remarkable about her work is she's a Jungian analyst, so she's working with all of the archetypes that are common to, all of us at different parts of our lives and so on and so forth. But that she actually, and she is a cantadora, she is a traditional storyteller, and she comes from a long line of storytellers, and the ways that she can bring life to the story and to our own lives and bodies through her particular unique way of storytelling is just profound. I mean, I think that she and this work is, as big or bigger than, like, the work of many, I'll just say. And also she spent time with wolves, like researching them
Wow.
and
I,
understanding, yeah, and understanding what it meant. I mean, to the extent that she could, what it meant to be wolf-like. And that part was really important to her. Um, so yeah, yeah.
no, I didn't know that.
Hmm.
Wow. And so for you, because I hadn't planned on discussing her or talking about her, but my sense is that for many of us who have been on a conscious journey of rewilding, remembering who we are, that we often have uh, mentors, teachers, or lineages that we are, we are kind of the next generation of, or one of the generations of, and so you are, I would say, in her lineage. You are in many different lineages, the shamanic lineages, the poetic lineages. When I first read your poetry, I really felt as if I were reading a poem by Rumi or Hafiz or, any of the mystic poets. And so it just feels important to name that sense of lineage, because we certainly have our biological ancestral
Mhm.
lineages, but then we have our, whether it's teaching or spiritual lineages, that each of us on a conscious journey will be drawn to or mentored or
Mhm.
guided by.
Hmm. Indeed, so many lineages that converge within each of us. And I think that through all of the lineages that I'm aware of thus far in my life, poetry is really the river that moves through all of them for me. And that is something that I've been rewilding all my life to some degree, is permissioning myself to be the poet
Mm.
and to understand the relevance of the poet and poetry, the archetype of the poet and poetry. And even still today, I can sometimes get, you know, it's a practice of mine to remember that there are many things that I can do, but really there's something that I must do, and it
Mm.
must show up and be like the primary thing of whatever I'm doing, and that is poetry.
Mm. So, speaking of that, I had asked you if you want to share a poem or poems with us. And I think this would be a beautiful time for that. I don't know what you've chosen, so we'll all get to enjoy this together.
Well, I'll tell you a quick little interesting story. One of my I love all my students, But one of my beloved students, um, I think she'll be okay with me saying her name, Mafalda, is helping me compile all of my poetry since I think we've gone all the way back to 2019. And I'm so close to my poetry, I often don't know. Like, I just don't know. And I actually asked her, Mafalda, are there like some poems that you really love that you think would be beneficial for me to share right now? So the ones that I'm reading for you are two that she actually picked out. And so I just love that. And she is quite the poet herself. So I want to bring sort of all of the poets that I love. And so many of my students are poets. And um,
You bring it out in people. I dare say that you are, I don't want to say coaxing, but you are inviting and creating the space for, because there are pieces I have written with you that I really don't think I would have had access to, certainly on my own, but
hmm,
perhaps with any other teacher. So, yes.
you've written beautiful things that I've had the great good fortune to witness. So thank you.
Thank you. And Mafalda actually shared two of her pieces in December in a
I
company.
know. I listened. They were gorgeous.
So it's the circle keeps coming
It's
around.
the circle, and that just feels so yummy, like to bring all of the poets into the room right now as we're speaking.
Yes, and before you dive in, I just keep feeling compelled to share. I've been doing some studying with a Hawaiian indigenous elder, and he shares that his grandmother, who was his kind of primary teacher, initiator into the traditions, would say to him that through that lens, that indigenous Hawaiian lens, you must learn. I'm not going to quote it exactly right, but the essence is you must learn or understand poetry before you can speak,
Oh my goodness.
because there is this essence of the mystical and the ways that we are so deeply connected, and the mystery. And so to understand that before you even begin to speak.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. What a beautiful teaching. Yeah, because there's so much in the poetry that isn't being said that is yet known and felt and is a whole language in and of itself. So that is beautiful. Hmm. Okay. Well, okay, let's dive into this one. This is called Walk with Me. I won't pretend to know how it will all turn out. I leap anyway. I came to do it this way. I want my whole heart, not just parts. Wearing the mantle that is mine, embodying the unknown, my promise to our collective bones. I am an expander, rule breaker, here in a meeting place, imbued with mystery, the wild frontier of this moment. Fire lives in my heart, yours too. Potential is alive and well in the empty portals of what belongs with you. This living is an act of making holy. There is nothing about my love that is wrong. There is nothing about your love that is wrong.
Mm. Oof. Yes, I just feel that washing over me.
Mm.
There are so many threads. It really is like something I would love to just wrap myself up in.
Mm. Mm.
The words, the essence, and what a poem for this time,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
this time. I know you have an offering that is coming out and that it speaks to not just an offering, but the essence of who you are,
Mm.
the house where love lives.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The name is multi-layered, but the way it actually came to me was by way of my younger self.
Mm.
And at the time I had the course laid out, and it's always co-created with my helping spirits, but I couldn't, the name wasn't there, and they weren't giving me a name. And it was like, a name is so important for me because it also helps me understand more and fleshes out more about what the offering is and who's going to come.
Mhm.
And so I was doing something completely separate that had nothing to do with the offering, and I was just simply doing a meditation with a younger part of me. And I had asked her, and I think that this is important because it will correlate to those who are called to participate in this. I had asked her, what is your original dream? Like, what is your dream for your life?
Mm.
And like, she didn't miss a beat. She simply said, a house where love lives.
Mm.
And it was so moving. I still get a little emotional. My heart kind of bursts open. And so I knew instantly, oh, that's what we're doing here. That's what we're going to be doing here, a house where love lives. And there's a real focus in this offering that has to do with living from the heart
Mm.
and seeing from the heart,
Mm.
and an aspect of reclamation and a form of soul retrieval
Mm.
right now, so that we can be together, we can be connected in a way that is palpable and real and resourced. And the school itself is essentially a house where love lives. And there is a council that lives there who call themselves a council of love, the
Mm.
council of love. And they take the students into their homes,
Mm.
and they really enliven them with love
Mm.
and the strength of that and the power of that and the reclamation of that. And so, yes.
Mm. And it seems to me there's something with the starting out with your younger self and her. longing
Yes.
that, that tells me that all, like all of me is welcome, or all of us is welcome.
Mm-hmm.
And I can feel like there's some bittersweetness to that, of, some grief perhaps from those places that don't always feel welcome,
Mm-hmm.
as well as that,
Mm-hmm.
like, could this be true? Like,
Right.
could it be true that there is a house where love dwells, where all of us is welcome?
That's right. Including the exiled parts, the parts that we've learned to put away somewhere and certainly not bring out into the open. Um, yeah, and so it's a very tender, vulnerable place, a place of those younger parts, I think, often when we are permissioning ourselves to turn our gaze toward them, that innocence, and remembering, what did this innocent part of me long for?
Yes.
And how can I use my own personal agency to tend to that now?
Mm, yeah, that is a powerful question. And I hope that our listeners will take that to heart, and really commit to finding some time to sit with that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And really taking it to heart, indeed, right? Like,
Yes,
because
literally.
in shamanism and the lineage that I belong to, really the heart is where spirit moves.
Mm,
Spirit moves through our heart. The the highest, the truest, gritty, get down dirty, perfection, loving truth comes through the heart,
mm.
not here, because we're rewilding.
Yes.
We're
Yeah.
not going to rewild through this. We're
No.
going to rewild through our heart, through our hands, through writing, through listening, through receiving and being resourced.
Mm. Yeah. So I would like to get into uh, longing and desire and that reach. But before we do, just for anyone who's not familiar with the term soul retrieval,
Mm,
can you just speak to that
of
before?
course. Of course. Thank you. Thank you. Well, shamanically speaking, um, let's see. Shamanically speaking, there is um, a belief that we as humans experience soul loss. We experience soul loss at different times of our lives. In curanderismo, this would be called susto, a time when our soul leaps out of our body because some kind of danger or trauma is happening. And this is why we say that the soul is unmarked.
Mm,
The soul knows how to be whole. And so a soul retrieval will happen when, for whatever reason, and it's nobody's fault or there's no blame or anything, there's actually a divine intelligence, really,
mhm,
a wild intelligence that will occur for deep protection, that a part of our soul will leave and
mhm,
go find safety. And what is also true is that it can sometimes wreak havoc for us because we have a part of us that is missing. So there could be an emotional distress, physical distress, energetic distress. And so a shamanic practitioner, a trained shamanic practitioner, I'm very
Yeah.
pure about that. It's so necessary that someone has good training who can provide you with this. But a shamanic practitioner who understands through their helping spirits that a soul retrieval is necessary, they go with their helping spirits to locate that part of the soul and they bring it back. They bring it back to the individual. And it's remarkable what happens for a person when they have a soul retrieval. They feel life force again. Things start working better again in their lives. They have more energy, or they understand things better and in new ways. It's like they have themselves back again. um, so that's soul retrieval.
Yes. And it is, I would say, the journey of remembrance, but it's also the bringing all parts of us back home to ourselves.
Yes,
And so that is a specific intervention or way to bring components of us back that maybe we haven't even been aware of,
exactly.
or known what medicine they hold, or what power they hold, or what wisdom or truth.
Yeah, and I want to also clarify that in a group scenario, in a class that I'm doing, I'm not necessarily performing a soul retrieval in the way that I just described it for each person. But there are ways, I believe personally, that in group work, there is a force, a grace of retrieval and remembering that can happen. And in fact, I had a student recently say that they felt like the entire course of the Heart of the Matter was in and of itself a soul retrieval. So there are a couple of different ways that I'm talking about this, and I just want to be clear about that, and hopefully that's not confusing.
No, I think it just points to someone could get more information if they needed it. And
Absolutely.
if they're interested in your work, they can absolutely reach out to you, ask you, and
Yes.
engaging with it. I feel like you have sufficiently answered the question.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
But I do want to circle back to this topic of longing and desire, because I do think it is a hallmark of what you bring, and certainly your book, your beautiful. It's a small book. It's a potent book, but there's so much that comes through the Mistress of Longing. And I have to say, as someone who was disconnected from that in my own life, like learned very early on, it was not a good idea to want things, or to long for things, or to let my heart really deeply desire, to remember the sacredness of that and the importance of that to being here and to being human. And you have been one of my primary teachers about that.
Mm.
And your transmission has been a primary medicine for that. So, what can you tell us about longing and our
Mm.
heart's desire, our soul's desire?
Mm. Well, there's so much there, and I think that you pointed to something that's so necessary to understand about ourselves is that often, more often than not, we can be really disconnected from our longing and our desire for multiple reasons. Each person is different and has had their own life experience that has, in some way, shown them, taught them, or they've learned to tuck that away because it isn't safe. But I actually think to really be embodied, we must feel. We must feel things. And I think something that I've learned even over the last 5, 6 years is that there's a way, even that a deep feeling, like a deep grief, a deep fear, a deep joy is also a longing.
Mm. Mm.
Longing really opens us. And it's like Dr. E or Clarissa Pinkola Estés often talks about the river beneath the river,
Mm.
Rio abajo Rio. And that's what longing is. And that always feels so important for me to clarify. Like, we're not talking about, when we're talking about longing in this way, it's not, you know, it's not something out there.
Mm.
It's something deep in us. It's a hunger,
Mm.
like a way that part of us has actually been starved.
Mm.
And the Mistress of Longing says that longing is the most exquisite navigational system that we have, and that we came with longing. The reason why we're even here in a body in this incarnation was from longing, was from desire to come and be here
Mm.
for whatever particular purpose that is for each of us. And of course, well, I would imagine anyone who's listening to us right now probably has some kind of cosmology that is open to other lifetimes and soul, and having a sense that we come for specific reasons. And I don't ever want to assume that I know what anyone holds as true for them. That's not for me to do. But when something is deeply missing in our lives, not because we're not already whole, but because we don't remember our wholeness, our wildness, and what we need to be here, to feel enlivened in our body and our heart, longing will tell us
Yes.
if we're listening. It will tell us the precise next steps for what we need to have a full belly and to return the radiance to ourselves, to
Mm.
return our deep sense of meaning of being here. So it is quite an ancient technology that is actually love.
Mm.
It is actually a return to love,
Mm.
is what longing is.
Mm.
It's a return home.
Yeah. And there are some cosmologies or belief systems that might even express that it is the divine or the sacred within us, like the aspect of the divine
Mm-hmm.
or God, whatever name you might choose, that is exploring life through us and through our longing, that it is that
Yes.
the sacredness to explore itself, to dance with itself in all these different um, dimensions or all these different forms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yes.
So we're going to start to bring this to a close, but I want to see first if there's more you want to share about the house where love lives, in terms of, because this is something that's coming up, or if there are ways that if people are interested in you, your poetry, your books, we'll have all that listed in the show notes, how to access those things. But is there anything further you want to share about that?
Um, yes, and I would love to share a poem too as
Yes.
we wrap up if there's
Yes.
time for that. I think that I would love to invite people that if they feel called or interested in working with me, that I would be really honored and would love to have a call with them, a free call, a clarity call, where they can ask me anything and we can just spend some time together. Because I certainly I have a few spots for one on one work, and I love that to really go deeply with someone. Um, and of course, A House Where Love Lives is going to be an incredible offering. It is a call home. It is the people that come together um, in my offerings and collective are extraordinary women. Joan, of course, knows that well because she has been one of them. And I feel so lucky to be a part of these weavings. And so this offering will be extraordinary and remarkable because it is being created for this precise moment, for what we're all sort of reckoning with outside of ourselves and within ourselves. We're in such a huge change right now. And so there will be poetry and writing, and there will be channeling, and there will be this incredible nervous system that you get to plug into. That is the School of Wild and Holy and the Council of Love. And so I'll stop there because I could go on and on forever.
Yes. So I know I always experience you and your medicine in such a visceral way, like in such a like dark chocolate, velvety rose petals,
Mm,
just the depth of heart way. And I trust our listeners are finding that as well. And your poetry is one of those transmissions. So I would be a vote of confidence for anyone who is feeling drawn or curious to check out Wendy's work, check out her, as well as like your Instagram, where you do share both your
mhm,
poetry and um, videos from time to time. So, and would love to have you gift us with another poem before we close.
mhm, mhm. Well, thank you. I'll do that. And I forgot to say that for your listeners, if anyone is interested in A House Where Love Lives and and joins that cohort by way of this podcast, I'm offering a pretty deep discount. So just make sure when you reach out to me that you mention this podcast episode.
So generous. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It's my pleasure. Okay. Well, this poem is called Dress Me in Wild Love. I choose wild love, flowing freely from my lips. I choose unspoken trust and passion from our hips. Communion in softness, bathing in moonlight, numinous doorways and breathtaking insights. I choose pleasure gathered in my arms, promises made with kisses and long walks. Ravens' dark feathers, fire in our bones. I choose prayers spoken, revelations out in the open, her hands laced in mine. We are canopies of light. Sounds of devotion in the middle of the night. Making altars in the river from a rounded feast. I am a willing temptress, spreading my wings, living naked as a wildflower taking in the sun. I am heart-pressed poetry, dressed in wild love.
Mm.
That's a good one.
It
I like
is.
that.
Will these poems be in your new compilation?
They will. They will. I'm very much hoping to release this book later in the year, if not first thing next year.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a big compilation.
Yay! I'm looking forward to it. And I would give a shout out both to The Reach is Holy and
Mm.
The Mistress of Longing. I know The Reach is Holy. I'm sure you can get both on Amazon, but do want to give a shout out that The Mistress of Longing was published by the
Yes.
wonderful Lucy Pierce and Woman.
Yeah. Yeah. If you'd like to purchase, there might even be a few signed copies left of The Mistress of Longing through Womancraft Publishing, which is in Cork, Ireland. And you can also find that book anywhere that you can purchase books online. So, yeah.
Okay, so I want to thank you again, Wendy, for taking this time to join us, for bathing us in the beauty of your words and your wisdom and your heart.
Thank you. It's been such an honor. I have loved getting to be with you again.
I know.
It's so awesome. Yeah.
Yes. And we want to thank you, our dear listener, for being
Mhm.
with us today. And I want to remind you that whether you are making ripples in your life or big ass waves, that you are love and you are loved.
Mm.
Until next time. Thank you for joining us today on the Crone Codes podcast. If you appreciated what was shared, please rate, review, subscribe, and comment wherever you get your podcasts.